where I think that there has been a lot of displacement of native-born workers would be meat processing, poultry and beef, things like that in the in some southern states like Georgia, Arkansas, but also in some western states like Nebraska. But that industry was characterized by very high wages prior to the influx of immigration. That is unsustainable wages. Wages around 1979, looking at today's prices, were around $22 an hour for working in a meat processing plant. And as I said, those weren't really sustainable wages. Those jobs would have been moving somewhere, or there would have been changes in capital techniques to economize on costs if the immigrants hadn't come. So if all of a sudden these immigrants, and those are, that is an industry where there are a lot of illegal immigrants working, if they were gone, it doesn't just automatically mean that over any reasonable length of time that new jobs would be developed for African Americans or any other native workers of low levels of education, which would be sustained for any reasonable period of time.
Well, when did crack down on some of these meatpacking places and these companies began to raise wages, suddenly African American workers in Georgia began to come out and work for those jobs. They weren't going to work on for the same wages illegal immigrants were, but when the wages went up a couple of dollars, suddenly they were there.
That's precisely my point, but the question is, how long can that be sustained?
You can't use public policy to drive down wages, which is what we're doing. Illegal immigrants are not supposed to be in the United States labor market. That's a public policy decision not to enforce our laws.
We have a point of agreement on that point. I've written elsewhere that this is one particular industry where we do need to enforce laws and to worry about the...
and forget historical aspects of immigration. Immigration is not a new issue in this country. Immigration was the first law that was instituted by the United States Congress in 1790, when they first, following 1 year after the ratification of the United States Constitution. And the immigration policy in this country have always been anti-black, native blacks, and also anti any African blacks coming in from Africa or from the Caribbean. But primarily it's been to accomplish something that is negative for black folk. And so I'm just sort of amazed that we got civil rights leaders all across the country. We got public officials, both white and black, and elected officials and appointed officials. They have no interest in trying to focus on the real issue. The thing is, why isn't there similar concerns about blacks across this country? One thing concerned about that. Throughout the history of this nation, for instance, immigration came in to displace black folk, to provide unearned benefits for immigrants. The word immigrant in the original content and context was thought to be associated and identified with European whites and also any ethnic groups coming to this country who were not of African descent. Immigration is always negative for blacks, and that's why blacks became a permanent minority and underclass in our society.